Hey, it is Smooth Tim and Larry E, and thank you for stopping in and joining us on another hump day on Tim's Tidbits. Hey, Larry, how's everything going, man? Everything good?
Traffic, you know,
Hey,
same old, same old.
Dallas.
Mm.
That's the fun thing about being around that area. If you don't like traffic, don't move there.
Oh, exactly.
Not quite
Shouldn't
as
even be
bad
that
as
bad.
L.A. traffic, though. They
No,
have,
it's not. It's just that it's like it's more traffic than what it should be, and that's the problem. You just never. You be like, wow.
I was surprised when we first moved into Dallas and, with the 8, 10, 12 lane highways, right? You're like, damn, man, they must. And, but trouble is, they still get traffic jams. You're like, how does that happen? All those lanes of
Nah,
traffic.
I can't figure it out, man. I can't
Yeah,
figure
well,
it out.
obviously the engineers who make the highways haven't figured it out either, right?
Need to engineer the people how to drive. That's just engineering that. Not just the highway. The people need it.
You know what? Yeah, that's crazy. I seen on television the other night that they give roundabout training, and I'm like, that's fascinating to me that people don't know how to negotiate a roundabout. Like they turn left into a roundabout or what?
What the hell's a roundabout, Tim?
Where you do where you do the counterclockwise.
The circle, the
Yeah,
circle
the
things.
circle thing. Yeah,
Oh, I hate
roundabouts.
those.
Do you really?
I can't stand those. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen on the highway. Well, who made that?
They made them. I love them actually. You don't have to sit there and worry about who's if the person's going to stop or not. All you do is wait for yourself to merge into the counterclockwise motion and
Right?
piece of
It
cake.
scares me though, because I'm like, if you're not familiar with it, if I'm not familiar with it, it scares me. But when I
You,
get familiar with it, I'm like, okay,
yeah, once you get familiar with it, I'm the first time I negotiated one. Yes, I was apprehensive
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like how are you supposed to do this? And and especially if you're listening to like one of the mapping services and they're take the second or third right, you're like, what the hell do you take a third right on?
On a circle, stay left, but then go to the right. How you stay left and then go to the right? I'm like, what?
Hey man, I don't know. Hey, let's see, what are we going to talk about tonight? Anyhow, Oklahoma. The police there, they were looking for a couple of missing teenagers, and with this particular property, they never came home after the weekend. And searching some properties, they came across some very interesting things. Yeah,
Oh,
we'll get into that, and also a little bit more, as we always like to, beat up on Tucker a little bit. He's one of our buddies. Apparently, they caught some of this stuff that he said on text messages. So he's
come
sending,
on.
intercommunications, intercompany, may have been out of the company, but some of these text messages are going to be getting caught, and that's another reason that the content of these text messages, rather, that Fox got rid of Tucker. Just more another bullet in gun, so to speak, for Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's see. Hey, down in Florida, yeah, DeSantis. He signed a bill the other day that gives the death penalty to a individual who rapes a minor, 15 or under.
Okay.
We'll get into that conversation a little bit, and we'll see. And that actually goes against a Supreme Court decision, so we'll see how all that plays out too. We'll talk about that. Let's see. Oh yeah, U.S. and the leaked documents that's all over the place. That they're still trying to figure out how they did figure out how it got leaked. Just how do you have this young kid that's what National Guardsman or was I don't
I
know.
remember that. Yes, yes,
But in any
yeah.
regards, yeah, he leaked out some information that the U.S. actually has special forces along with some other countries fighting in Ukraine. Talk a bit
Mm-hmm.
about that. And also, if you haven't noticed that your vet bills are going up, one reason is because there's corporate investors buying up privately owned vets. Let's get into
Uh-oh.
that a little bit. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And also, hey, the good news is down your way. Where was that at? Was that in El Paso area? Where was that the shooter killed his 5 neighbors? And I see they caught up with him.
Oh, I forgot. It could have been that area. Yeah, it's
Yeah, they caught
around
up
there.
with his butt, so we'll get into that a little bit too. But hey, let's get right into anyhow. Yeah, as I said, the authorities in Oklahoma was looking for one thing, and damn if they didn't find another. Check this out, Larry. It's going to trip you out.
Now to an absolutely horrific story out of Oklahoma. 7 bodies discovered there about an hour south of Tulsa. We don't have many more details than that, but we do know there is heartache here. Omar Villafranca has more.
We've searched the property and we've located 7 bodies.
Oklahoma law enforcement found those bodies in Henrietta Monday, but would not discuss any additional facts of the case.
There's no suspect at large that we are looking for right at this moment.
While neither a motive nor the name of a suspect has been released, the father of 16-year-old Brittany Brewer confirmed his daughter was among the dead.
She always played with her little sister, and I don't know how I'm going to tell her, because she's like, Brittany's lost, Brittany's missing. And I got to tell a 4-year-old that she's gone, and I don't even know how to do that.
Earlier in the day, Oklahoma Highway Patrol reported Brewer was endangered and missing, along with her friend, 14-year-old Ivy Webster. They were believed to be traveling with 39-year-old Jesse McFadden. Brewer's father told Tulsa station KOTV that his daughter was friends with McFadden's children and had spent the weekend with the McFadden family and was supposed to come home Sunday night, but never arrived. Records from the state's Department of Corrections showed that McFadden was convicted on first-degree rape charges in November of 2003 and released from prison in October 2020. He was slated to stand trial Monday on charges of soliciting sexual conduct with a minor and possession of child pornography.
Wow. Now, that'd be a gruesome little discovery, wouldn't it?
I'm like, you really got to make sure you know who your kids
are hanging with. You know, you don't know I think we got into a conversation kind of like that before, is when it comes to predators. You know, why don't they do a better job of disseminating that information out? Because there is no way I'm going to let any of my grandchildren, whatever, have any association with an individual that has a history like that.
Aren't you supposed to register as a sex offender or something like that when you get out of prison?
Right. Yeah, but, you're the key word, supposed to? So, And
the thing about it, you can tell that he has a mental illness, because he still had the child pornography and he still was going to court over that stuff. It's really something wrong with that guy. It's probably been something wrong with him for a long time, and letting him out of prison. That's the problem in prison. They put people in prison, but they never rehab them.
No reform.
Never rehab, no reform.
What do they call that? Prison reform? And it's like, where's the reform?
They don't do that. Yeah, they never. I'm like, it's obvious that this guy has a problem, and putting him in prison is basically just sweeping it up on the rug, and then eventually let him out, and then you still got the same guys you put in. I'm like, you never changed the guy. You never made him want to change. Isn't
that a gruesome discovery? You go there looking for 2 missing teens, and he's playing it off rather, but you've got suspicions. I wonder what made him dig or go looking, and they found these 6 other dead bodies, and it happened to be, another girl from town, and the father was,
Did they find him yet? Or he's on the run?
I don't know if he's on the run or what's going on with him, but they thought,
So basically, he's responsible, McFadden.
Well, it's his property.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's got if they have not charged him yet, but damn, he's got a whole lot of explaining to do.
Yeah. Was it another McFadden that did some stuff? Did he blow up some people or something like that? What was the other McFadden that did that a long time ago? Blew up like a building.
I don't know.
It was a long time ago. It was another, I think somebody McFadden, he did something that was horrific and blew up a building or something. It was a McFadden dude, but I'm just saying, people with the last name McFadden.
You got to start avoiding people with the name McFadden.
Your last name is what? McFadden's.
That's
Timothy
horrible.
McFadden. It was Timothy McFadden, I think. Remember Timothy McFadden?
Oh, it wasn't McFadden. I know who you're talking about now. McVeigh.
Okay, McFadden. Okay.
McVeigh.
Okay, it's close enough. Mick.
Yeah.
Still a Mick on it. Anybody with Micks, don't do Micks.
Buddy. That was
glad they
racist.
got the
Boy,
guy.
was that
That's
racist.
crazy.
Anything that is remotely Scotch-Irish Gotta be something wrong with them. You know how the Irish people are over there blowing each other up and shit over in Dublin. They can't get their shit together.
No, not the color, just the name. Mix? I don't fuck with mix. No mix.
It's horrible. Listen to you, man.
It's the same thing as a black person with "le" in front of their name, LaRon, LaAndre, LaShawn.
All I can say, Larry, is you're a racist, and so is this guy coming up. All right, we know.
My bad, everybody.
Our buddy Tucker, and let's see the other reason these text messages that also got his ass jammed up when it comes to the Fox network. And I know you're gonna have all kinds of people running to his rescue, but let's.
Overnight, a new report about former Fox News host Tucker Carlson's private comments after his bombshell departure from Fox News. In a text message obtained by the New York Times, sent by Carlson to one of his producers in the hours after the January 6th attack on the Capitol, the host allegedly describes watching a video of a group of people he calls Trump guys violently attacking a, quote, Antifa kid, calling it dishonorable and adding, "It's not how white men fight." Carlson also writing he found himself rooting for the mob. "I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it." But then Carlson writes, quote, "An alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. If I reduce people to their politics, how am I better than he is?" The Times reporting that the message was filed in the Dominion lawsuit but remains redacted from public court documents. But the Times reports its contents were disclosed in interviews it conducted with several people who have knowledge of the Dominion voting system's defamation lawsuit against Fox. NBC News has not confirmed the contents of the text. The text message added to a growing number of internal issues that led Fox to Carlson's firing, the Times reports, according to several people familiar with the matter. Throughout his tenure as the lead primetime host on Fox, Carlson courted a conservative audience, often with rhetoric about race and immigration.
We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided.
This policy is called the Great Replacement, the replacement of legacy Americans with more obedient people from faraway countries.
Video of some behind-the-scenes comments from Carlson have also surfaced since Fox settled its lawsuit with Dominion. Left-leaning group Media Matters posting a video appearing to show Carlson chatting with host Piers Morgan before an interview.
If we're going to talk about sex, I'd love to hit some of the fine points of technique.
Previously, the New York Times reported it had obtained a video of Carlson discussing his, quote, postmenopausal fans and referring to a woman as, quote, yummy.
I mean, the guy in text messages he ties his own rope and hangs himself, jumps off the stool, saying, I know all this stuff is absolutely fake and I still do it. But then look how that racist comment that he makes in there. There was a couple of them actually that he was kind of glad that they were beating up that Antifa guy, right? And the interesting thing is what was the reference that that's not how white guys fight? You're on mute.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah, listen. I may say some dumb stuff, but it's just me just saying dumb things, okay? When I'm being serious, I'm serious. That guy was serious. And it's sad that he has to think that way, and he is that way. And he was one of the media leaders. And he had the opportunity to shell out a lot of good information that people could benefit from, but he chose to do something negative. And then his racist comments, which were truly racist, which they were true, were caught. So I'm like, I can backtrack and say that I was just joking, and I'm joking, but and I do comedy too. So, but that guy was serious, and that's some. How do white men fight? How do black men fight? How do Asian men fight?
And what is that supposed to mean? I was really caught off guard by that one.
Basically, he was saying they were acting ghetto. They were acting ghetto. They were acting out of control. They were acting just totally uncharacteristic of how you should be organized.
I think I know where he was going with it, but I mean, may as well say it, right?
He basically saying you're supposed to fight on a professional level and fight. You know how you're supposed to fight, Tim. We're older now. You fight, not even fist fight. Okay, you're supposed to fight legally. Yeah, you want to fight legally. That's how you win fights. Fight with legislature. I always say the word wrong. By making laws, writing laws, passing laws. That's how you win fights. You don't do it by tearing up stuff and just shooting people and boxing people. Okay, it's not how you fight. That's what he meant by that.
You made a key point when you said you would expect a top news individual to disseminate factual information and not put that out. I mean, you don't sit there and know that information, excuse me, you're putting out about the Dominion voting machines is not valid. There's nothing. There's nothing to support that claim. But yet, and he knew it, and he talked about it. Yet he put it out there. He talks about that the January 6th insurrection was not an insurrection. He shows it on his show as like an everyday stroll through the Capitol building. You see people sign, right? I'm like,
yeah, the responsibility.
Yeah.
Their responsibility is to be unbiased. And then everything that they're biased about, they keep their crap to themselves. Okay, like a typical guy, you and I, that's not doing we can be a little bit biased on this podcast, but we got to be real with each other and be real. We're biased about certain topics, but when it comes to true stuff, the real information, we got to be very unbiased and keep our personal feelings and thoughts out of what we talk about, only if it deals around somebody being totally racist and being out of control. But he has no lane for that. He has to be totally unbiased about what he puts out, because everything he puts out represents that news channel, represents his family, his friends, and everybody that depends on him to do his job.
And his rhetoric is based on ratings. He wants to say what the people want to hear, although he really doesn't
can't do that.
believe it.
Can't do that.
Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, but you can't do that on television. We all know that.
Basically, he sold himself out just so he could get ratings. So, the people who think that, Tucker was, their hero, well, actually, he doesn't believe in what he's saying anyhow. So he's disseminating what he considers bullshit to an audience that wants to hear it.
Yeah, and Tim, you and I, we still can't say everything we really want to say, even though this is an independent podcast, but he surely can't say things he say. And on top of that, he got to make sure he knows who he's talking to, because people will record your stuff and put it out because they're trying to get paid. It's a scam.
His postmenopausal audience, that was funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
He was cold. I'm like,
yeah, there was a couple of things he said. I'm like, women should maybe take offense to that too.
Man, Tim, we know how people talk. We know how people talk when they get into certain groups. It's a black group or a white group or Asian group or whatever group. We know what people say. But at the end of the day, you cannot be a television person or entertainer and say that shit. Just can't do it. You can't be in a club spending money and waving guns and shit when you're a professional basketball player.
Yeah, that guy too.
Yeah, I'm saying you can't do it. But all them other guys can do it. Jay-Z and them did it at one time. All other guys, you can't do it in the NBA. It's different.
And moving on, and it came on a little late, and I'm not going to talk about. You talk about waving gun. I don't. Yeah, you would have probably not caught it on the news, but apparently in Chicago,
it was another shooting. Another shooting. Yeah, it was another one.
Yeah, our hearts and prayers go out to the women that got shot. I could believe it was like 4 or 5 women that got shot.
And one person died at a mental health clinic or something like that.
So yeah, hey people, for Christ's sakes.
Oh, you know what? It's real quick. And D.L. Hughley said something very smart, that you have to talk to your doctor to get certain medicines. And it's in Alabama, Georgia. They say they made it harder for you to vote and harder for you to obtain medicines, but it made it easy for you to get a gun. You know what I'm saying? If you want certain medicines, you got to talk to your doctor. But if you want a gun, you just go get your damn gun.
Wouldn't it be interesting if they had some type of mental health evaluation, like they have a driver's license test? You have to pass this test before you can be issued a gun permit. And you can still have your concealed carry, open carry, BS. This is your gun permit to actually own a gun.
Yeah, but you can beat that though. Police officers beat it every day. I know a lot of police officers that make some bad decisions that psychologically they shouldn't be in that position. So and they got to take mental health screenings before they even do that. Even in the military, you got mental health screenings. On some points.
Doesn't mean it catches everybody. You're 100% right.
Yeah, so that's the only problem with that. So, but I understand what you're saying. We need help.
Something. Anyhow, speaking of needing help, apparently DeSantis thinks that these people who may be child rapists need more than just help. They need to be put to death.
The state of Florida could find itself in a U.S. Supreme Court fight over the death penalty fight. Thanks for trusting us here on Fox 4 News at 5. I'm Shari Armstrong.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. So this new law was signed today by Governor Ron DeSantis, and it would make child rapists eligible for the death penalty. But Fox 4 Investigates' Ryan Kruger tells us the new law is in direct conflict with the Supreme Court tonight, Ryan.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that is actually the point, according to the governor. The new law is a direct challenge to a Supreme Court ruling from 15 years ago. Some legal experts say there's a good chance that the governor could prevail. Governor DeSantis signed the legislation yesterday, along with 2 other bills related to public safety. Now, it calls for anyone convicted of raping a child under 12 years old to be eligible for the death penalty if that crime occurs on or after October 1st of this year. Back in 2008, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that rape is not a capital offense unless the victim dies. Legal experts tell me this is likely to set up a Supreme Court battle that could take years before it's finally settled.
So it's all of these sort of, steps that have to happen. And I think what's really important to note is at the center of that is a living child victim.
The bill passed with overwhelming support, including from who you're seeing here, the top Democrat in the Senate, Minority Leader Lauren Book, herself a victim of child sexual abuse. Now, some legal experts believe there's a good chance that Governor DeSantis could prevail in this case if it ultimately goes to the Supreme Court, because it's a much more significant or much more conservative court than it was 15 years ago.
Thoughts? You muted again.
Why under 12? I don't get that.
I don't know. Maybe they figured 13 they're starting to mature in a certain way. I don't know why he drew
The
that.
difference, that's stupid. 13, what about 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? I don't agree with it. I'm like, if you're going to do the death penalty for rape, it should be rapist rape.
Rape is rape.
Men and women. Yeah, it does. You shouldn't put an age limit. 12, 13. Well, that's stupid. I understand what he's saying, but then again, it makes sense what they said. If you didn't die from it,
then it shouldn't be a capital murder case. Or right. It shouldn't be.
Yeah. So the rules when someone gets given a death penalty is usually because they killed massive amount of people, or they have such a horrible criminal record that they did something horrible that said, okay, we need to kill this asshole. But I don't think it's gonna hold up, and I really don't understand what he's talking about.
Be interesting when he does challenge the Supreme Court. Obviously, since it's going to go there, how that does happen. And I would sit there and think, actually, and I can't remember who I was having the conversation with. I said, if you want to take it a step further, I said, forget the death penalty, because, that is harsh. And I can't excuse rape.
No,
and especially of a child. But
nope, you can't.
How about you castrate them?
Ooh, that's worse than.
So you can just send them around. It's not like you're putting the guy to death and he's no longer around anymore. You castrate that individual, and I don't know, they're walking around. I maybe even put a tattoo on them in some fucking place.
Damn, already just killed me, bro.
And you're walking around with no ability to do anything anymore. I mean, you're basically a eunuch, right?
Give me the death penalty, man. I'd rather take the death penalty.
Then lose your testicles.
I'm like, give the man. No.
I'm just saying, hey, if you really wanted to detour it, I mean, if you thought about it, if I get convicted of rape, even if, I think maybe this girl's a willing participant or whatever the case may be, right? The situation, wow, and you get convicted of rape and you're going to get castrated? You don't think that would slow the roll?
What if somebody was convicted falsely? Because, some of these women be like, he raped me or this sexual assault.
Then we'd have a lot of sopranos and male singers.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but what about the guys that actually got lied on and it took them 15 years?
Yeah, that could happen. Well, once it got, yeah, I guess that's why you sit there and, keep yourself out of a situation like that.
What if it's a woman that rapes someone underage? Are you going to just take her ovaries out or what? But you call for titty? That's what you gonna do with a woman? What you gonna do with a woman? Because women, they do it too.
What do they do to women? They give them don't they circumcise them? The clitoris, something crazy like that. Some countries.
Put a chastity belt on them and lock the key, and you can't take it off.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's some countries that do some weird ass stuff, but yeah, here. Anyhow.
I think it's too harsh.
I think it's
harsh.
a little bit harsh, and I think once it gets, even though at the very end of that video, the guy made a pretty good point that since we do have such a conservative, majority in the Supreme Court, maybe it has a chance.
And then the top Democrat, they said she was a victim of sexual assault. She was a victim of sexual assault also. They got a good chance, but I don't think it's going to pass because of the harshness of it. I'm like,
it'll be interesting to keep an eye on because if it changes in Florida, other states can.
Everybody going to jump on it, exactly. But the thing about it too, them death row, people live on death row for 15 years. I think I don't know what the stats are, but you don't just get put on death row and then 2 years later you die.
Right. Yeah, you got all this appeal process and all this other stuff that
So it's still
as you said, but. Thank God there is an appeal process because some individuals can be wrongly convicted, just like those guys that just got the pardon. What do they call that? The something 8 that in that Central Park,
the Black Guys,
Central Park 8 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I mean, and they've been wrongly convicted for how long? So I mean, a person could be on death row for this particular. But hey. Yeah, I
just
agree.
don't do it.
Just don't do it. Keep yourself out of the situation, fellas.
Just go pop one. Just
Anyhow, hey, let's move on. Especially, apparently, rather, we know that that kid, yanked those documents. I'd mentioned that a little bit earlier. Those sensitive documents.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he was a Boy Scout or a part-time National Guard guy, I don't know how he got into the computer.
It was National Guard.
I know.
I remember that story.
I was just dicking around, and grabbed this information and then put it out on the web. They're gonna hang his ass out to dry. But anyhow, part of the stuff that was put out there was that actually maybe the U.S. is involved over in Ukraine. Even though we say we're not, I don't know. Who knows, right?
Those leaked top-secret Pentagon documents are rocking U.S. NATO allies tonight. According to those documents, the U.S., Great Britain, and France all nearly have 100 military special forces operating inside Ukraine. The report raises questions about how involved American troops are in the war-torn country. U.S. Special Forces are among the most elite members of our military. They are usually part of our most dangerous missions. Any combat mission in Ukraine would be a red line for Russia, and President Biden has vowed from the start that no American soldier would be involved in the war. No comments tonight from our NATO allies on this report, but the British Defense Ministry did tweet on Monday that the leaked documents have a, quote, demonstrated serious level of inaccuracy, end quote.
U.S. Special Forces in Ukraine. That's reportedly what leaked documents from the Pentagon reveal. Special forces from the UK and other allied countries are also on the ground, according to the documents, but they don't reveal what the forces are doing there. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby telling News Nation there is a small U.S. military presence in Ukraine providing embassy security services and accountability for weapons getting sent there. President Biden has insisted U.S. troops will not engage in combat in Ukraine in order to avoid a world war.
Our forces are not and will not be engaged in the conflict with Russia in Ukraine.
The Pentagon has previously admitted to U.S. troops being stationed at the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, not on the front lines.
Who do you believe? Who do you believe? Who do you believe? You're muted again.
I don't know if it's on the front line, but we have to be involved in that war. If they're sending like weapons and intelligence over there or whatever, someone from America has to be over there as a correspondent. So we're involved somehow.
Oh yeah, keep it real. Yeah, keep it.
And
real.
what he did was totally wrong, but he kind of messed his life up, honestly, because now it's like he's a spy.
Oh yeah.
But he leaked it. I don't know if he leaked it to everyone, so he's pretty much a spy now.
Once you put it out on the web, it's pretty much you've leaked it to
Yeah,
everyone.
I'm waiting for the movie to come out. There's gonna be a movie.
Yeah, I like that. What was the other guy? Edward, whatever his name is, Wyndham. Yeah, the kid that did that. So yeah, talking about how they spy on us. Now, so it'll be interesting to see, how that how pans out, how they try to cover that.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that it haven't happened before now. All the things that I was in the National Guard, and it depends on what department you're in within the military, your MOS. Some MOSs you're closely in tune with the captains, lieutenants, sergeants, or whatever you got that's involved in this intelligence type stuff. So you have access. So a private or a specialist or E1, E2, E3, E4, whatever, or a corporal, they are closely into that department where that stuff is. So they have access. I'm surprised it haven't happened yet. So they have access. They know some stuff. And then a lot of the big, and
most people know the sensitivity of that data would compromise other Americans. So why would you want to compromise other Americans' lives unless you got some other agenda? And who knows what this young guy's agenda may be, whether it be, to be a social media star, or he may have some, personality deficiencies. Now, who knows?
Right, personality deficiencies. That's what it is. I just think he kind of pissed everybody off on a higher level. But like a typical person like you or I don't think those secrets really going to affect us. They're not going to affect us in the short term. Maybe in the long term, they may affect us with policies and laws and stuff like that written in, and money that's going to be involved that's lost or gained in that situation. But when it comes to everyday Joe like us, it's not really going to affect us right now. Just the big wigs.
From the intelligence community, you and I share an intelligence back and forth. If you're your own country, me, and then all of a sudden one of my cronies, has a individual that probably shouldn't be looking at this data in the first damn place, and our information gets breached, and it gets out that, your crew's also involved with my crew and Bill's crew across the street. What do you think is going to happen to the trust between all of us?
Yeah, it's going to be diminished, but that's on a higher level, though. So, like, on the lower level, it works the same in a neighborhood, like you just said, like some gangster stuff. If you got a gang over here, a gang over there.
Well, come on, let's keep it real. It's any real difference, right?
Yeah, it works like that. It's just that he's on a higher level. That's why it's very, very, very important. Then now, I'm pretty sure those big wigs up there are shook up. Now they really like, what does he really know? Can you imagine what they're asking him where he is now? He's probably living where.
How much information did you really grab, and where is it at?
Oh, can you imagine what his family's going through and his whole life
Embarrassing.
is upside down?
Yeah, that's
bad decision.
That's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, hey, I seen also on the news today that the Feds decided to jack our interest rate up another 0.25%. Thank you guys for doing that. Yeah, I'm telling you, solid look for the country. As if it isn't expensive enough to borrow money. Let's just see if we can slow interest rate, slow inflation by. You can't borrow a dime. Yeah, they were saying that most of your credit cards are like over 20% now. And I'm like, my God.
Get off. Don't even use them.
Cut them things up, people. 20%.
I'm saying, don't get me wrong now. If you're traveling and you come into a hard time, you need to use your credit card.
Yeah.
Life, it happens. Life is life. But especially if you travel. You should never take your debit card. You should never take cash money with you. Use your card.
But be able to buy it off. I mean, think about that. When you're spending $200 on $1,000, if you don't pay it off that month, that just cost you $200. So now that $1,000 trip is now $1,200. You better pay it off, because now you're going to compound that if you don't do something with it.
Yep.
It's crazy. Anyhow, hey, man. Here's the good corporations taking over vet clinics. And that has to do with, why you're paying so damn much at the vet. And let's take a look at this tape, come back and talk about it, because I have a couple of viewpoints. I think about not necessarily just corporate, their involvement now buying over privately owned veterinarians, but, what's their gig now that you see that they're all this pet insurance they're trying to sell on the air? Like, it sounds like a big-ass scam to me, but hey, let's check out this video. I'm just a suspicious type of guy, right? That's all it is.
Large corporations and private equity firms are buying up veterinary offices at an alarming rate.
And David Winter has been looking into this trend. He joins us live now in the studio with what it means for pets and their people. David, what can you tell us?
Well, an industry analysis showed that in 2021, 82% of the $38 billion in veterinary billings were done by independently owned mom and pop vets. By 2023, that number will drop to just 50%.
Clyde does not appear to be too concerned whether his veterinarian is independent or sold his practice to a large corporation. But Dr. Paul Levita says this cat should perhaps be more curious.
If it's purely money, if these consolidators are just trying to buy up hospitals and then sell to another bigger corporation who has no interest, doesn't know anything about veterinary medicine, just wants the profits, yeah, unfortunately the care won't be there.
Dr. Levitas is an independent veterinarian, but says he's been approached several times by consolidation companies to sell. And he's not alone. Private equity firms are yielding 4 to 5 times returns, leading to companies like American Veterinary Group, Encore Vet Group, and People, Pets, and Vets to gobble up practices like kibble. It's made some pet people nervous.
It wouldn't be the same. It'd be more like just walking into like a Walmart or somewhere. I don't see its teeth.
Dr. Dan Meekin says his patients, including S'mores the guinea pig, benefited when he sold his practice to one of the large veterinary medical groups, because if he had not, he may no longer be here.
If I had not sold, I think I would have had to be committed to an insane asylum trying to run this place and working 7 days a week. So it's offered me more opportunity to practice, actually.
And he says most of his patients probably don't even realize there's been a change in ownership.
Did you realize that this doctor's office is corporately owned?
No.
Does it matter to you?
No. He sees guinea pigs, so that's all that matters.
Well, critics of the corporatization of vets say the consolidation leads to higher vet bills, less time per patient, and less experienced doctors. Proponents say the conglomerates can afford better patient communication software, and they can afford better diagnostics and better labs. Adam?
What do you think, Larry?
Got the pros and cons with them. A lot of people won't get mad when I say this, Tim, but I'm from the country. And when we had a dog or a horse or something that was lame, we just put it down, bro. Now, I have a Chihuahua, a rat terrier Chihuahua mix. I'm a little bit more sophisticated, but I'm not gonna spend buku's amount of money to get a new kidney. I'm not gonna give my dog my kidney, and I'm not gonna spend money on this. It's a dog, okay? I'm gonna get the nails clipped. I'm gonna get it clean. I'm gonna do the basic stuff, get the shots. But honestly, I think when people go overboard with spending all that money on a pet that's not bringing anything to the household, I think that's stupid.
It is. It is a family member, and as a family member, we try our best. We care for it when it's sick. We play with it as we would our own children, and sometimes we even talk with it as we put with one of our children, right? But yeah, a recent study actually by Forbes showed that 42% of Americans cannot afford veterinarian bills. No, so as you said, you're put into that precarious that situation to where am I going to be able to pay my rent and make my auto payment in the other necessities in life, or save my dog? And if I choose to save my dog, I'm not going to be able to do X, Y, Z. And my only alternative is, as you had just said, I'm going to have to put that dog down and take it out back, or have somebody take it out back, and
Yeah, because we couldn't afford. I grew up poor. We couldn't afford no vet bills. One time, my dog was foaming at the mouth. It obviously had rabies. It was all jacked up, and it actually tried to bite me. And we had to put it down, man. I'm like, yeah. And I love that dog. We had to put it down, man. But at the end of the day, Tim, it is a pet. You love your pet, but you got to be realistic. You cannot go broke, especially these days, over a pet.
and that's what
that
leads
has
me into the question now. You see all this stuff for pet insurance, right? Have you seen these on TV where you can buy
I
insurance
see
for
it
your
now.
pet?
Yeah, see, it's crazy.
So I mean, do you, as a family member, if you have a disposition that I think it's horrible that people put their dogs down if they're sick, help out so that this whole corporate takeover obviously is jacking up prices. They got to make a profit. You don't buy something up to take a loss, right, Larry? Come on. It's all about cutting the corners and making a
They
profit.
do. Yeah, that's the whole point. So,
So,
of course they're gonna cut corners.
what's the answer? I mean, are the insurance companies and these corporations in bed with each other? Who the hell knows? I mean, it sounds like a good idea to me. Hey, I'll tell you what, I'll start offering pet insurance and you start buying up this, these pet vets, and you jack up the prices, and I'll sell people insurance so they can afford it.
That's business. That's
Yeah.
how it works. And then a guy, he said, I have to sell my company. I'm like, listen, I would have did the same thing. If I have a way of living that I've been living, and I know that I'm in jeopardy of losing my lifestyle, I'm selling.
Hundreds of thousands probably lost businesses and that
Selling.
during the pandemic.
I'm selling, and I'll try to provide the best I can. But like I
I'm
said,
sorry. Yeah, you're a vet. Yeah.
I'm selling. Yeah. And then if I do, I have a pet now, and yeah, I love my dog, man. She's a little Chihuahua Rat Terrier, but I just hope to God nothing severe happens to her.
Oh yeah, we have 2 fur babies, and basically, I take my best, care of them to make. And number one is making sure they get some decent damn food and not, this gravy train junk that they right. I mean, as with any other individual, you have gut health, and I don't care whether you're a human being or a dog. If you don't have good gut health, you're gonna have all kinds of other issues. So I mean, we try to feed them the best that we can. And I mean, some of the stuff you can self-care. If they get something in their eye, get some eye drops, take it out. Don't let it get to the point to where it's so infected you have to take them to the damn vet. Take a little bit of responsibility, and that'll relieve some of that other garbage down the road too.
Yeah, that's a tough one because we love our pets. We especially love our dogs. I don't think anything in the world can beat a dog.
I can't remember a time in my life that I haven't had a dog.
Yeah, when I was in the Army and all that, and I left the country and, left not the country like the United States, but I left being into the country and then to the city. I didn't have a dog when I went to Virginia and California, and I was in Mexico doing a little travel in the military. I didn't have a pet, but, you just having a dog just feels, even if you don't have a family, having a pet, a dog, just makes you feel whole for some reason. I don't know what it is about dogs.
But now as far as the distemper and rabies shot, you can go to the farm store.
Yeah, that's
and pick it up if you don't want to pay for the damn vet. If you're that cheap, they sell it at the farm store, so you can get the rabies vac and the distemper shot, and give them. They sell it there for all kinds. That's what they're there for, to help out the farmer, so he can make. You think a vet has time to go out there and inoculate how many pigs and cows? Come on, man.
But
yeah, they sell that stuff there, people. So yeah,
I think it is. I think it's stupid though for people to go broke for a pet that's not bringing in income. Don't go broke for a pet. You gotta take care of your family and take care of your home, and then shit.
Yeah, I can't see putting $10,000-$15,000 as you would a person into a dog. And yeah, as cold as it may sound, I don't want to say where's your return on the dollar, but wow.
Be realistic, man. It ain't like it's a kid. But I'm just saying, small stuff, yes.
Yeah.
If a dog lose a leg, put the leg thing on there and let them run around with 3 legs, or they lose both back legs, put a wheelchair on the back. I've seen it.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. But when you start having to
some of that major stuff, it's like anything else. You got to make a decision in life. Well, I mean, look at people make that decision for their own health, and we're talking human beings, to where they may need some type of a particular medical care, and it's not within their economic reach to obtain it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people like that out there, so it's not just our pets.
Yeah,
that's why I believe in universal health care, but that's another story. Anyhow, let's move on down. And some good news, real good news actually, is we know this nut basket down in Texas, right, that shot his neighbors, 5 of his neighbors up for complaining because he was shooting his gun in the first place.
News coming in right now from the state of Texas, where a person believed to be the suspect in that mass shooting, that horrific shooting which left 5 people dead, including a 9-year-old boy, is in police custody tonight. Law enforcement are awaiting fingerprint confirmation that the man in custody is indeed Francisco Oropeza, who has been on the run since late Friday night. Police say Oropeza's neighbor asked him to stop firing his gun near his property, and he apparently responded by entering that man's home and fatally shooting his wife, son, and 3 others. Joining me now on the phone for the latest is NBC correspondent Sam Brock. Sam, what is the latest that we know on this arrest?
Mehdi, it appears that this is the end of a sprawling 4-day-long manhunt involving hundreds of federal, state, and local officials searching for a man accused of brutally murdering 5 people. As you said a second ago, we are at this point, according to authorities, awaiting fingerprints to confirm that, in fact, this person is Francisco Oropeza. That is according to the district county attorney for San Jacinto County, Todd Dillon. And he was arrested, according to that DA, in Cut and Shoot, Texas, which is roughly about 15 or 20 minutes from where he resided. Mehdi, there is going to be a press conference at 8:30 local. It is about 7:40 right now. So within the hour or so, we're expecting to hear from both the FBI and county sheriff's department as well. There's also new reporting this evening, Mehdi, that we just broke this evening, actually, that there was a 2022 protective order filed by the wife of this man, alleging that he had beaten her, kicked her, punched her with a closed fist. That was considered to be ultimately a civil matter that was never served, but this does provide some sort of a basis for violent behavior. We'd heard previously, Mehdi, that he was apparently a nice guy, had never shown any signs of aggression or anger, and now we have that bit of information to pair with the fact that he murdered 5 people, including a 9-year-old child on Friday, as we await more information from authorities momentarily.
That guy's a freaking nut basket. Apparently, he was... where they found him was at his wife's house, and they found him in a closet hiding under some clothes. And so she's being charged, for, obviously harboring a fugitive and, aiding and abetting, and some other buddy of his apparently was there.